The ANC's last-minute service delivery push, a case of too little too late. For more than a year, South Africans across towns, cities, and rural areas have been raising their voices about collapsing service delivery. Residents have protested outside municipal offices, blocked major roads, and even taken local officials hostage in moments of sheer desperation. Potholes have turned roads into obstacle courses. Sewage leaks have run for months without being fixed. Refuse has gone uncollected, and many communities have endured weeks, even months without water. And yet it is only now, with local government elections looming in 2026, that the African National Congress has decided to spring into action. The timing of this sudden push to fix service delivery issues raises uncomfortable but necessary questions. Is this really about improving the lives of ordinary South Africans? Or is it about salvaging votes? Is the ANC truly committed to turning around municipalities? Or is it simply staging a pre-election performance designed to create the illusion of progress? Years of neglect and public outcry. Service delivery failures are not new. Communities across South Africa have been protesting for years. In fact, according to Municipal IQ's Hotspots Monitor, 2024 saw over 180 service delivery protests nationwide, a significant increase from previous years, with many turning violent. Hotspots included Gauteng 34%, Eastern Cape 20%, and KwaZulu-Natal 18% provinces where municipal dysfunction is most acute. Examples include Gqeberha, Nelson Mandela Bay. Residents blocked the R75 highway multiple times over water outages lasting more than a week. Tanker deliveries were inconsistent, and officials often failed to communicate with communities. One community leader, Luvoma Beat, told local media, "We have begged for months for a permanent solution. Every time they send a truck for a few days and disappear, now we have no choice but to shut down the roads so they will listen." Tembisa, Gauteng. Violent protests erupted after months of power cuts and accusations of corruption in billing systems. Several municipal buildings were torched as frustration boiled over. Nokuthula Sibisi, a resident, said, "We don't burn because we want to. We burn because they don't hear us any other way." Makonda, Eastern Cape. Students and residents marched demanding that the municipality address failing sewage systems that left raw effluent running through streets and into homes. Civic activist group Makonda Against Corruption stated, "Our town has been failed by incompetent leaders. We've had court orders forcing them to fix sewage infrastructure, yet we are still wading through filth." Peter Maritzburg, KwaZulu-Natal. Residents protested outside the Msunduzi municipal offices over uncollected waste piling up for weeks, attracting rats and posing a public health risk. Local business owner Sandile Nkobo said, "Clients Dan T even want to visit our shops anymore because of the stench. We are losing income while the municipality does nothing." Each time, government leaders promised interventions, yet most of these promises fizzled out without meaningful change. The ANC had years to address these crises, yet allowed municipalities to drift further into dysfunction. The ANC's sudden action plan. Now, in late 2025, the ANC has rolled out a new service delivery action plan and announced that it will establish service delivery war rooms, force councillors to present turnaround plans, and hold employees accountable for absenteeism and neglect. President Cyril Ramaphosa has even publicly criticized ANC councillors for failing to engage with their communities. While these steps sound promising on paper, they beg a simple question: why now? Why did it take a looming election to galvanize the governing party into action? Why weren't these measures implemented 2 or 3 years ago, when it was already clear that local government systems were failing, political timing, and voter optics? The timing of this effort cannot be ignored. The ANC faces the very real threat of losing control of more municipalities in the 2026 elections. Just as it fell below 50% nationally for the first time in 2024, service delivery is one of the leading reasons voters have abandoned the ANC in recent elections, with opposition parties and independent candidates capitalizing on the ruling party's poor performance at municipal level. According to a 2024 Afrobarometer survey, 72% of South Africans expressed dissatisfaction with local government performance, citing water supply, electricity reliability, and waste management as their biggest grievances. This dissatisfaction directly correlates with voting patterns in municipalities with the highest protest frequency. ANC support dropped by an average of 8% compared to 2021. As civil society watchdog OUTA put it in a statement, the ANC's sudden flurry of service delivery initiatives is a reactive move to looming elections. True reform is not a press conference. It is a consistent program of governance that must run throughout a political term. By staging a flurry of high-profile meetings, press briefings, and policy announcements now, the ANC appears to be trying to convince voters that it is responsive and capable of change. But for many South Africans, this comes across as too little. It's too late an attempt to paper over years of mismanagement and dysfunction with last-minute promises. Consequence management? Long overdue? The ANC's latest plan includes consequence management for councillors who neglect their duties. While this sounds like a bold step, it is worth remembering that communities have been calling for accountability for years. Corrupt and incompetent councillors have often been shielded by party structures, redeployed elsewhere, or allowed to finish their terms despite disastrous track records. The result has been a culture of impunity, where poor performance carries little real risk. Implementing consequence management months before an election looks suspiciously like political theater, a way to present the party as tough on corruption and on performance, even though many of the same individuals responsible for the crisis remain in office. The human cost of delay. Behind the politics are real people who have borne the brunt of years of neglect. Families in rural Limpopo who still rely on donkey carts to fetch water because boreholes remain broken. Township residents who have lost children to waterborne diseases caused by untreated sewage. Small businesses that have been forced to close after repeated power and water outages made operations impossible. Schools that cannot function properly because toilets don't work and classrooms are flooded during the rainy season. Human rights lawyer Thandeka Delimini remarked, "When government fails to deliver basic services, it is not just bad administration, it is a violation of constitutional rights. People have a right to water, to dignity, to a clean environment. Years of neglect cannot be forgiven by a few rushed fixes before elections." Credibility crisis. The ANC now faces a credibility crisis. Words are no longer enough. Communities have heard speeches and promises before. They demand is sustained action, transparent timelines, and measurable results. Quick cleanup campaigns and pothole patching sprees may produce good photo opportunities, debt, but they do not address systemic issues such as financial mismanagement and collapsing municipal budgets. Lack of technical capacity to maintain infrastructure. Corruption and cadre deployment that prioritizes loyalty over competence. Weak oversight mechanisms and failure to prosecute wrongdoing. Unless the ANC confronts these root causes, its late-stage efforts will likely fail to produce lasting change.
Is it too late?
It may not be too late to deliver some short-term improvements, fixing potholes, clearing refuse, repairing burst pipes, but it may already be too late to regain public trust. Years of frustration cannot be erased by a few months of frantic activity. Trust is rebuilt through consistency over time, not through last-minute election year initiatives. Voters are becoming more sophisticated and less forgiving. They have seen that promises often evaporate once elections are over. 2024, many chose to punish the ANC at the polls, and there is little to suggest they will hesitate to do so again if these new plans fail to produce visible, lasting results. Conclusion: South Africans deserve better. The ANC's sudden sense of urgency might be welcomed if it leads to genuine improvements, but its timing raises doubts about sincerity. Communities deserve a government that prioritizes their needs consistently, not just when power is on the line. If the ANC wants to convince South Africans that it is serious about service delivery, it must go beyond rhetoric and electioneering. It must show sustained, measurable progress, hold its own members accountable, and restore trust through action, not just promises. Anything less will be seen for what it is: a desperate attempt to win votes in the face of growing public disillusionment.